Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem. Welcome back to today's Daf Yomi B'Seches KEREISOS Daf Gimel. We begin on line 4 off the top of the Yomid. Amar Rabbi Lazar. He quotes Amar B'Ishya. Kol Malkim Shata Moitze Shnei Lavin B'Kares Echad. Suppose you have two transgressions, two averos, which are bundled together under the same kares. So there's only one mentioning of kares in the Torah. If one violates these, consequences kares, premature death. But it's preceded by two lavin. Don't do this, don't do that. If one does them, there's kares. So it's one kares, but a double lav. Now comes the question. Suppose he transgressed both in the same he'elim, the same forgetfulness, not realizing that they're usr. So he's chayv chatas. Chatas is the flip side of the kares, right? So if it's b'shegeg, there's a chatas to atone for that inadvertent transgression. How many? One, as per the single kares. So shall we view the chatas as the flip side of the kares? One kares, one chatas, despite being involved in two experiences? Or is it the lav that triggers the chatas? Which in this case, there are two. One lav per experience, for a total of two chatois. So he says, the answer is two. Kol malkim shata moise shnei lavim v'kares echad. Wherever you have two lavs, two do nots, v'kares echad, even though it's summed up in one kares, chiluk chatois beinhin. That divides them into two separate chatas liabilities. The very fact that the Torah splits them into two lavs is considered as though, so explains Rabbi Gershom, it's as though it repeated kares once and again. So each one is distinct and unique, separate from the other. Humahi. Give me an example of a double lav with a single kares. Mefatem b'sach. The Torah warns against preparing the fragrant oil and also applying the fragrant oil on oneself. Tichsiv, we have a lav, one per, but one kares for both. Al b'sar adam le'yisach, it should not be smeared on a person. Uve maskunta l'sasu kamei, nor should you copy the recipe. But then it only concludes with one kares. Kares echad, tichsiv asher yirkach kamei, one who makes this concoction, v'asher yitim min ozor, or places it on a stranger, there's kares. So it's two lavs. Lo yisach is a lav against smearing. Lo yisasru, lav against making it. But concluding with one kares. One of those, any of these, there's kares. So b'shogig, how many karbanis? Two. Ask the Gemara. Once you've established this rule, this formula that the chatas correlates to the lav, one chatas per lav. Let's backtrack a bit to yesterday. Kares da'achoisai, the kosher Rahman al-Ambli. Why did Torah have to single out another kares regarding getting involved with his sister? And the Gemara taught us it was in order to teach us that if the achoisai happens to be also mother's brother and sister and father's brother, father, sister, mother, sister, so in a sense he has violated three things. There is three chatas obligations. Why do we need the Torah to point out that there are three? Automatically there are three, because there are three transgressions, three violations, three lavs. One per status. One for achoisai, one for achos ava, one for achos imai. And you just told me that the chatas is triggered by the lav. The answer is, well, we discussed this yesterday. The Rabbi Yitzchak Isle, the Rabbi with Boilehu, Loimar Sheineshim. I didn't quote Rabbi Yitzchak. We need it for his halacha to teach us that if one violates something which triggers a kares, there's no possibility of malchus. According to Rabbanos to teach us that when you have a sister on both sides, from the father and mother, so it's a full sister with whom he shares a father and mother, there is an einish, and don't think it's just obvious, because if the half-sister, certainly the full sister, we don't generate punishments based on kal v'chaim. Okay. So theoretically we don't need an extra pasuk, because the basic halacha that a chatas comes through the lav, so basically a separate lav of several chatas, is already known, but it's to teach us other halachas. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. I want to support this halach that a double lav triggers a double chatas despite a single kares, such as in the case of mefatem b'sach the shemen mishcha. Afanan, Amitanina, take a look at our Mishnah as well. Mefatem is Hashem. Mefatem is Torahs. So he concocts the shemen, concocts the Torahs along the recipe of the Beis Hamikdash. V'asach shemen mishcha, he applies the shemen mishcha on himself. That seems a bit out of order. We go from oil to Torahs back to oil. Why not just put them, in order next to each other? He concocts the oil and he applies the oil, and then he concocts the Torahs. Lovely the Tana, Vitani, and Mafatim Saktaris, but mitzvah, why do we insert the Keteris right in the middle of the oil situation? Oh, Lava Kamashwan. Apparently, isn't the Mishnah coming to teach us this very point? That each one is separate and distinct and triggers its own liability, including preparing the oil, applying the oil, separate chatas, one per, despite being covered under the same kares. Mak Keteris. Lav of Neatzma, just as the Keteris is a separate lav, separate from the oil, and therefore it carries its own liability. Kares with Neatzma, it carries its own kares. Fatim Shem, V'sachnami, likewise, if one prepares the oil and goes and applies it, even though it's only covered under the same kares mentioning, but since given the lav of Neatzma, since each one has its own lav, Chayavim, a lav of Neatzma, it triggers its own liability, its own chatas. Oh, that's all right. Well, hold it. Perhaps the reason for this order in the Mishnah is different because it just, it just matches. It just the pattern works because given the Kabbalah Misni, Pitum Badei, the Mishnah wanted to list, recipe makings next to each other. Prepare the oil, prepare the Keteris, and that's why I put it alongside each other. Well, okay, you could have still done that and kept the proper order of things. You could have reversed it. First prepared the Keteris, then over to the oil on both accounts, prepared and applied it. So you have the, two elements of oil next to each other appropriately. Nisnifcha could have reversed the order. First on Fatim Sakteris, then over to the oil on both accounts. On Fatim is Hashem and Vasach Shemen Mishcha. On my Palgil Shemen, why do you split the oil into two? Prepare the oil, then over to the Keteris, then back to applying the oil. Love, Hakamashmon, isn't it to teach us this very point? To compare to the Keteris. Just like Keteris is separate and distinct, likewise all aspects of oil violations are separate and distinct. No, to teach us that each element of transgression carries its own chatas. Next, a fellow gets involved with another male, or with an animal, or a woman allows an animal to be involved with her. All these are listed alongside the chayav KEREISOS, and on the flip side, the Chiyuv Chatas. Now the question is, are we talking about a man or woman? The reason why the Mishnah mentioned the number, right, started with 36, as we learned yesterday, to teach us that if he violates them all in one sitting, he's chayiv, separately, one per. So out of the 36, really only 34 can bring a chatas. Right, we deduct the Pesach and the Milah. Okay, so a total of 34. Now, it's impossible, because what are we talking about? A man or a woman? Either way, we don't get a full count. Tana Kachashav, what's the Tana talking about? Iba Gavri, men, Dalo Shanir Bas, you have to take off the woman violation. The woman who allows the animal, right? So you're missing one. But we speak about women, violators, Dalman Hain, you have to remove the first two that we just discussed. Delete those two, getting involved with another male or an animal. Basultati, missing two. Certainly we're talking about men. We have to revise the list a bit. How do we get to the full count? We're missing one, right? Add like this. He gets involved with another male. He allows another male to be involved with him. So two variations of male to male, in which case it adds another one. Rabbi Shmuel, and we're following Rabbi Shmuel's opinion, who says in fact that there is a separate liability for each variation. Damar chayav shtay. Says the Gemara, hold it. Let's proceed. We have Megadif coming up on the list. Megadif is one who Chas V'Shalom curses to Shamayim. And that only follows Rabbi Akiva's Shita, who says that Megadif, since it involves verbal expression, is considered enough of a verbal, physical, manifestation, physical act, and there's Chatos, right? Rabbi Akiva. Later on, we're going to establish like Rabbi Akiva's Shita. So that's going like Rabbi Akiva. Reisha Nami, Rabbi Akiva. So let's assume that the whole mission is going like Rabbi Akiva, the first part as well, and it's not going to work if we apply two possible violations to Zachar. Rabbi Akiva doesn't hold to that. Only Rabbi Shmuel does. Well, maybe not. Maybe in fact, the whole mission is Rabbi Akiva, including the first part with the male. Regarding that, Allah holds like Rabbi Shmuel, that if a person gets involved with another man and brings another man on him, it's chayiv too. But it's not so. V'amar b'yavo, ha'bala zachor, ve'evi zachor alav. What happens if he does both at once? Rabbi Shmuel, he's chayiv too, but according to Rabbi Akiva, only one. Rabbi Shmuel, the ma'abak levitarti kroi, Rabbi Shmuel learns that I have two separate psukim, so he's chayiv too, one per variation. First is me, you male don't get involved with another male, that's one. And facilitating another male with him, that's another pasuk. Hence, two sources for two violations and two liabilities. And therefore chayiv shtayim. But the Rebbe Akiva, and chayiv al-achas. Rebbe Akiva holds, if he gets involved with both experiences simultaneously, it's only chayiv one. The mechad korkanafically, because they both learned that at the same pasuk. So it's done in the same, forgetfulness. There's only one liability. It's all from the same pasuk. As zachali sishkav, you don't get involved with another man. Kribe, we also read it loy sishachev. Don't bring another male to you. So the source in the same pasuk, in which case there's only one liability. So you can't say the mission is going like Rabbi Akiva. Ella, you're right. Reisha Rabbi Shmuel. Part 1 of the mission is Rabbi Shmuel, and it's chayiv 2 for the two forms of Zachar. And regarding Megadev, so look, Rabbi Akiva, that is chayiv. Okay, good. Yach, if that's the case, that it's Rabbi Shmuel speaking, that there's separate liability for each variation of inappropriateness. And Yachi, the same would apply to the animals. This Dinami mission should have added Habala Behema, Vevi Behema Olav. If he gets involved with a behema and facilitates the behema with him, should be chayiv too. For the same reason, there's chayiv too by the zachar. Different variations. Homer Abaye explains, no, not even Rabbi Shmuel, who considers both variations of male involvement as two separate violations. It's only by a person, not by an animal. There's no concept of znus by an animal. It's not really deviating from. It's a different league. So any form of any variation, any format, it's all one and the same violation, and we don't split it into two different, distinct violations. Hamar Abaye habala behema vevi behema alav. He initiates with the behema. He facilitates the behema with himself. So even though there are two forms of inappropriateness, even according to Shmuel, that by the male is considered two separate, distinct violations with two separate liabilities, but by an animal, if he initiates on an animal and facilitates the animal's initiation on him, it's only chayiv one. If it's done in the same experience, the same hailing. Why? The chisiv kra, because the pasuk that we had before, the split the two, it's begabriksiv, that's by people, not by animals. Okay, that's one form of settling the question of the number question. How do you get the full count? Answer is talking about the man being involved in different variations. Rabbi Elazar Mishmei the Rav Amar. Let me give you another answer. How we get to so many? We don't really. We're talking about males. Tana Tane, Shalish chatois. In fact, the Tana listed 33 cases which trigger chatos. Only 33. What about the number 36? That's to complete the list. Meaning, technically, for one individual, it's a maximum of 33. But how many, in reality, how many do you have on the full list? 36. V'tani shalosh KEREISOS. List yomina b'KEREISOS. And the Mishnah just added another 3, which is not really possible under the same circumstance. The woman and the Pesach and Mila, right? So all these, even though it's not part of the same experience, the Pesach and Mila doesn't even have it doesn't even have a carbon, right? So it's just to top off the list of 36 forms of KEREISOS. But again, in terms of having them all fall together in one experience, it's a maximum of 33. That's it. You don't have any more by the man. The Tani is safe. I'll even prove it to you. That we're not talking about 36 chatois, because Pesach or Mila, mitzvahs say they're positive commandments. So why is it even mentioned in the Mishnah? There's no chatos there for ignoring the mitzvah say. Pesach or Mila, Magtanilu. Was that to trigger a carbon for one who violates? Mimaisi? Why would it be a carbon? Vatani, we have a brisa. A carbon is only for an active violation. Because by the discussion of the chatos, it's within the context of a zara, which is a negative violation, which is an act of isser. And we learn from there, that's the formula. That it has to be something which is an active violation to trigger a carbon, not a passive violation like Pesach or Mila, where he's ignoring a mitzvah. Vatani, hukshakala Torah kula. We compare the whole Torah with the zara chsiv, Torah achas. Whenever it has to be a drama, it's talking about a Zara over there. Torah achas. It sets a standard for the whole Torah. Ma avodas kechavim sheval tase. What's unique about avodas Zara? Sit back. Be passive. Do not violate. And in that case, in fact, there's a KEREISOS if one does. On the flip side, a chatos, if b'shagi avkol b'sheval tase, likewise. Only a situation which is similar to the extent that you meant to sit back and refrain. In that case, there's a carbon for one who violates, and actually it does. But Pesach or Mila is just the opposite. You meant to go ahead and do. So by refraining, there's no carbon. So why is it even in the Mishnah if it's not going to trigger a carbon? Ella Shma Mina, apparently, we're not talking about 36 matching cases. Tana, Shloishim Mishalish Chatois. The 36 are split into 2 categories. 33 apply to the same person, who, if he does them all together in one halem, will bring 33 chatois. And then we add another 3 examples, KEREISOS examples, which don't even have a chatos and apply to different situations. For instance, the woman getting involved with the behema or Pesach or Mila, to just complete the full 36 item KEREISOS list Shmamina. Machal Shabbos. So Chilul Shabbos is one of the KEREISOS generating violations. The question is, why is it only numbered as one item? Aren't it 39 various forms of desecrating Shabbos? Amri, the question was posed, Shabbos, Arboim, Choser, Achas, Havin, it's 40, right? 40 minus 1, 39. Why only counted as one? Amrav Yechan, Tana, Shigig al Shabbos, Doi Melachis. Technically, you can trigger many liabilities. But our Tana is speaking about a unique case where, although he knew full and well he's not supposed to turn on the light on Shabbos, he's not supposed to drive, he's not supposed to do all these malachas. He knew full and well, he was aware of that. But he didn't realize today was Shabbos. The shkaga related to Shabbos, the forgetfulness related to the root, Shabbos. So technically, it's only one shkaga, which covers everything, and it's only one chatas for all malachas. So even though he did many malachas, only chayv one chatas to address the root of his forgetfulness. The son is Rav in a brisa. Pasuk there says, it's talking about it's a pasuk, a general pasuk by chatas. Mei achas, mei heina. Achas sounds like it's one. Heina is many. So the Gemara makes a drush. Heina, at times, one can violate many, numerous, shei achas, which trigger only one liability. How's that? One carbon for many? Yeah. Shigigas Shabbos. He was unaware about Shabbos. And he proceeded with malachis. It was done malachis, even though he was aware about the malachis. He knew you're not supposed to do all these things, but his forgetfulness relates to one single element, which is Shabbos. As the Gemara of Nisnis Doi Shabbos, Shigas malachis. So why did the Tana refer to this case, which is only one single chatas? Why not speak about, he knew that it was Shabbos, Doi Shabbos, but he was unaware about these malachis. In which case, he's chayiv one chatas per malacha, which can end up giving him a long list. Big number of liabilities. The mechayiv abayim chasa achas can get him up to 39. The sanyas we have in a brayse v'asam achas mehena, one to many. Pa'amim shechayiv chatas achas al kulan. So we learn that it could be only one mei achas on the many, one carbon for everything. Upa'amim shechayiv al kachas v'achas. But sometimes the other way around. It could be heina, many, which branched off from this achas, from this single vial, meaning achas sheheina. How could one branch into many? So during Shabbos, v'shigas malachas, he was aware that today is Shabbos, but unaware these are malachas that are asur. So it's one Shabbos which branches off, which triggers multiple violations, multiple consequences. So why did the Tana insist on speaking about the singular consequence rather than the multiple consequences? Tana, Shigda Shabbos de Melchas Adifale. Tana wanted to highlight this point. That although it was speaking that he was fully aware that these are really considered malachas, it was amazing. But since he was unaware that today was Shabbos, he'll be chayv chatas. Don't think that since it was done b'mezid, he's potter from chatas. The mechatas milayim iftar, he's not going to get away without a chatas. So that's a chiddush. So even though his experiences were done knowingly and full awareness and full knowledge, and these are malachas, but since he forgot about Shabbos, he's chayv chatas. But just one for the many violations. Likewise, we find Avodah Zarah. Similar concept, similar formula. It all depends what his unawareness was related to. Sometimes a person can do many acts of Avodah Zarah, many forms of service, and only be chayiv one chatas. If the shgaga relates to the source of his activities, that he didn't realize this is Avodah Zarah, he didn't realize Avodah Zarah is asur, etc. We find the same Avodah Zarah, Tani, Shigigas avodas kecham was done avodas. Right, so the same thing with Avodah Zarah. The reason why the Mishnah by us only counts it as one is because, although when it comes to the avodas, the various forms of service, he was aware that it's asur, but it was a shkoga that related to the Avodah Zarah itself. That was the source of his mistake, in which case only chayiv one carbon for all his activities. How is that? Shigas of its kamei. So I understand on Shabbos you can forget today's Shabbos, but by Avodah Zarah, how do you have a concept of a shkoga on the Avodah Zarah itself? Let's explore. Echidam ileima the amad beis avit kechavim. Or speaking that a fellow standing in a idol worship home, v'savar beis haknesses, he thinks it's a shul v'shtach when he's bowing. There's no liability for that. He's not even intending for Avodah Zarah. Harei libo l'shamayim. His heart is totally aligned with Hashem. He's bowing to Hashem. He's not even expressing Avodah Zarah. He's not worshiping idols. It's the wrong thing. There's no liability for that. Rather, we're talking that he saw some sort of statue that they do, in honor of the king, some sort of bust. Skidloni bowed to it. So again, what was his intention? Either kiblei alei beli'ah, was he submitting himself to that deity, to that idol, bar skilo? It's not a shkaga, it's not a mistake. He got skila. If he didn't submit himself to that power, he didn't accept it upon himself as an idol, just out of honor, out of respect to the the king's form. Lav midu. Once again, it's nothing. It's not idol worship. So how do you have idol worship by mistake? He's not realizing it's not idol worship. Elam avamir. Oh, There's only one way. Avanir, meaning he's worshiping, he's bowing, he's knowing, he knows that he's doing avodah zarah, but he's thinking, look, I'm doing it to impress somebody, out of ava to somebody, out of yira, out of fear. He's afraid, so he's doing it, he's intimidated, so he's intending an act of idol worship, but he's doing it for some sort of ulterior motive, and he's thinking that's okay, allowed to do that, and that's his shkog, that's his mistake. Okay, that's good according to Abaye, who says that in this case he's chayav achatos. After all, he did idol worship. And according to Rava, who holds that, look, he wasn't serious about accepting this power, this deity upon himself, so then it's not really idol worship. So then he's part of Michael Amir. So again, back to the question, why is he chayav a karva? Return to Talmud Bavli. Here's another option. He's bowing, he's offering, krava to avodah zarah, thinking that it's okay. So his mistake is in the halachic realm. So although he did many, many activities, but since at the source he's making a mistake, so it's a shkoga at the source, and it's only one chatas for the whole experience. Now, you can consider that since in this case he's totally in the dark, completely unaware, A, about the Isser of avodah zarah to begin with, and B, about the specifics of the Isser of avodah zarah, specific forms of worship. So perhaps he should be completely exempt. Of course not. You see, the adkan loikabai minei Rava mir Rav Nachman. Rava already posed a similar question to Rav Nachman back in Masechah Sanhedrin. Rashi brings it on the second line from the top. He'elim zev zebiyadeh. A similar case regarding Shabbos. A fellow who, number one, is unaware at all that there's an Isser of Shabbos, and number two, about the specifics of the malachos. And then he did malachos on Shabbos. So the question was, the question just was, how many liabilities does he have? Do we look at the first thing that he doesn't know about, which is Shabbos, which is a source, the root of the whole thing, so it's just one that covers everything. Perhaps he's chayav for two, for both malachos, because the focus is on the malachas that he did with unawareness. That's the question posed back in Sanhedrin. Is it one, is it two? But of course, he's chayav something. Aval miftar lagamri le'boy minei. Of course, he didn't propose to exempt him completely. So likewise, now a case. We're talking about Omer Mutar. He's unaware completely that there isn't even an Isser of worshipping avodah zarah, which subsequently led him to do several forms of worship. At least one he could be chayiv for the source, for the root of his mistake. And that explains our Mishnah. He did many forms of avodah to avodah zarah, but since it's all rooted in his single unawareness about the concept, he's chayiv one chatas only. Papa Amar, here's another solution to this question. How do you have a fellow who's only chayiv one chatas for many acts of avodah zarah? Papa Amar mishkachas la. Here's the case. Betinaik shenishba leveina ivdikachav. He wasn't around observant Jews his whole life. He was taken into captivity as a baby and raised amongst the goyim. So even today, he knows something, the yada, the asira of Itzkechavim. So although he's aware about a concept of Isser, to do avodah zarah, and he knows about these specific forms of worship, shechting and all, but what's considered avodah zarah? Which ones are asa to worship? He didn't realize. He thought maybe only the one back home is asa to worship. The ones over here are okay to worship. And these specific idols here, he didn't know. He knew that it's considered idol worship. He didn't know these are considered asur. So once again, the way Rashi explains, we're talking about a fellow who's doing avodos, forms of worship which he knows are asur, per se, not realizing that it's asur in this context, with this specific idol. So the source, the root of his mistake is really a single, solitary piece of information. So it's one single unawareness and triggers one chatas on behalf of the whole experience. Talking about Tinnik Shenishba, by the way, a big discussion about nowadays if a fellow was brought up in an environment which is not Torah observant, whether he has the status of Tinnik Shenishba, and many poskim hold that he does. The Chazon Ish held that way. He says Tinnik Shenishba isn't specifically taken into captivity, kidnapped. It refers to anybody brought up in a situation, in an environment, in a community which hasn't really taught him Torah values. So why should he? Why should he take it upon himself? He wasn't brought up that way. Until Be'ez Hashem, he merits to be exposed and to somehow appreciate the proper Torah way of life. But until that point, it's called Tinnik Shenishba. Interesting chiddush, Chazon Ish. Another option could be regarding our Mishnah. Again, we're looking to address why is it just one chatas on account of so many violations. I feel it him begadol. Even when we're speaking about a regular adult, a person that was brought up, in a Torah environment. But once again, we can come up with an example, come up with a case where his many violations are rooted in one single solitary unawareness. Kigoyin de kotay badin kro. He misinterpreted the following pasuk. Pasuk says, "Lo yisasuniti Elohei chesed v'lehei." We shouldn't get involved in worshipping idols of kesef and zav, gold and silver. And he's thinking gold and silver only. But let's say it's wood and stone, it'd be okay. He misunderstood the pasuk, and he goes ahead and does many forms of worship to gold, to other materials. So it's really one mistake which triggered all his actions. Hence, only one chatas. Savar, he figured, ki asirish tachavo, which idols can I not bow to? The zor, the chesed v'zav, silver and gold. I will dimini achrinim of other materials. Sharia is okay. Here's an example of shigas of his kacham mizadim avodas. He's aware that the avodas, these specific forms of worship, are considered off limits. They're asur, not realizing that these qualify as idols. Hence, one chatas for the whole experience. He said, I'll give you a very simple answer to your question. What was your question? Why only 36 KEREISOS? If Shabbos itself already has 39, if Avodah Zarah has its own, the answer is we're not talking about specifics, we're talking about categories. Our Tana, the Mishnah, shame Shabbos. The shame Avodah Kacham Katani. He was referring to the category, the family of Yisrael Shabbos, the family of Yisrael Avodah Zarah, which of course, encompass many subcategories and many compartments within. How do I know? How do I know that our Tana is just listing, main categories? I'll bring you a right from the Mishnah itself. The Tani Habal Isha Bita Al Isha Sish. Mishnah speaks about getting involved with a woman and a daughter, Isha Sish. Why did the Mishnah leave out getting involved with one's daughter who was birthed from a non-wife, on a sasai, by way of a forced relationship? In any case, a marriage daughter, which is also asur. Why isn't that mentioned in the Mishnah? Apparently, the Mishnah is just speaking about head categories, not every specific nitty-gritty detail. Amri, no, but the answer was, the response was on this. You can't prove from there the chsivan ktani. Perhaps the Mishnah only cites isurim which are explicitly stated in the Torah. The loiksim like Tani, as opposed to bitim and usasa, which isn't clearly explained in the Torah. It's learned from Midrasha, so maybe that's why it was left off the list. Okay, says the more vayika bas bita or baspana, the chsivan like Tani. But there are other examples of explicitly stated isurim, in the pasuk, which were left out of the list in the Mishnah. Granddaughter of a wife, so his wife's daughter's daughter, son's daughter, which are clearly discussed in the pasuk. and undiscussed in the Mishnah. So it must be, we're not going to have a single variation. Rather, general categories. Elo Shem Isha Bita Ktani. Since the Mishnah made a mention to Isha Bita, so it's the whole concept of Isha Bita, whether it's first generation of the granddaughter, Achanami here as well, regarding Shabbos and Avodah Zarah, is a general reference to the category which suffices. Shem Shabbos, V'Shem Avodah Ktani, hence another answer to the question. What happened to all the specifics? They're covered under the Shabbos umbrella. They're covered under the Avodah Zarah umbrella. Rav Achai bar Ravika, Rame, he's going to present an apparent contradiction between Rabbi bar Abaye himself, delay, something that he said here, as opposed to something he said elsewhere. Mi Amar, Rabbi bar Abaye Hachi. Is that true that according to Rabbi, we're discussing only categories? Shem Shabbos Katani, V'Shem Avodas Katani, we suffice with categories? Well, Itmar. Listen to this discussion. Hamala Eivari Pnim Bachutz. Chayiv. A fellow had a carbon that was shechted in the Beis HaMikdash properly. He took the Eivari Pnim, the ones that were already inside, and took those parts and put them on an altar outside offer them outside the Beis HaMikdash. Chayiv. He gets chorus for doing that. Eivari Chutz Bachutz. Chayiv. Likewise, if he took limbs of a carbon that was shechted to begin with outside the Beis HaMikdash, puts it on an altar, is chayiv as well. Rabbi had a question. If in fact there are two forms of Isser by Mala B'chutz, one, internal Eivarim that were taken outside, two, external Eivarim that were offered outside, if that's the case, so why does the Mishnah only have 36? One of them is Mala B'chutz. There are two subsets of Mala. It's really 37. The Ika Hamala V'Hamala, two variations of Hamala. That was his question. Now the question that we have on his question is, I thought that according to him, it's just categories that are listed. My kashli, what was the problem? Nishani, you could have answered, Shem Halokatani, the Mishnah just citing general categories. Sure, there are two variations of Mala, but we're not getting into. Says the Gemara, you can't compare. Me dummy. You see, when it comes to Shabbos, we have a whole Masechas Shabbos discussing all the details. We have a Masechas Avodah Zarah discussing details there as well. Tana, you're saying the discussion took place over there already. Abin Keihain. Amongst the halachos of Shabbos and Avodah Zarah, it's just on our list because it's one of the examples of KEREISOS. KEREISOS, the area belongs here because it's listed amongst the other KEREISOS, but it wasn't meant as an in-depth discussion of the halacha. So I understand why it suffices with one reference, despite there being many details involved. And therefore, Mishani, he was able to answer, Shem Shabbos Katani, Shem Avis Kacham Katani. But when it comes to Ha'Allah, Gabi Allah, Mi Tana Yasain bin Kehain, was it discussed over there, in Mesechas Vachim over there, the Shani Yachi, which would justify this answer, meaning these two variations of Amal weren't discussed anywhere. So if anywhere it should be discussed over here, that was the question. Fine. New discussion. Boy Minei Rabbi Yirmiyah, he had a question from Rabbi Zera. So earlier we discussed what happens if there are two lavin with one kares. So how do we establish the chiyuv chatas? Is it two? Is it one? Now we're going to go the other way. Suppose a person violates two transgressions to which the Torah attached a kares, each one separately, but really it's only covered under one lav for both. So it's one umbrella lav to cover both violations, each one which has a separate kares reference. And let's say he did them both by mistake. He brings a chatas, one on account of the single lav, or two on account of the double kares. Amar Leis, he says, give me an example. Sheichet u'malaka amris. For example, a fellow took a carbon and did shchita, which is one kares, and did ma'ala, you offer the parts on the mizbeach outside. So each one has its own reference of kares in the psukim. And the question is, does it trigger two chatois or not? Very simple. Hani shnei lavaninu. Here it's more than just one kares per, it's also one lav per. Why? Whether it's through Gzeira Shava, Nemar Kan Hava, by Shchita it says Hava, Lo Yaviyai, Nemar Lahalon Hava, by the Hala it also says Lo Yaviyan Hava, Lo Shnava, Ma Lahalon, we compare. Just like by the Hala, Lo Yana Shalom Kin Hizr. So the punishment only comes as a result of a warning, so it's preceded by a lav. Avkan, likewise by Shchita, Lo Yana Shalom Kin Hizr. The punishment is only following a lav, a warning. So basically we import the lav from Mala to Sheichet, in which case both have their own lav. According to the other Shita, which compares them through a Hekesh formula. So once again, the Pasuk says he meant to do Hala and Asiya and Shchita in the Beis HaMikdash. So we have this connection, this joint reference to Shchita with Hala in the same breath. Makish Shchita Allah. Pasuk is connecting Shchita to Allah. To tell you, Ma Allah lo yonash ken hizr, just like by Allah there's a warning that precedes the punishment. Of Shchita lo yonash elam ken hizr, likewise by Shchita. So the question is really moot, because in this case, actually, there's a lav per isser. So give me an example of only one lav for both. Perhaps we're talking about a case where it's not kars, it's misa applied by the bezdin. Two violations that trigger each one its own misa, but covered under the same lav. Mai, for example, ba'iv yidaini. Sa'iv and yidaini are both a bit similar, both tapping into impure forces, impure spirits, but they're done differently. Oiv is where the sorcerer would take the bone from the departed that person, and somehow he would clap together his arms, and somehow that would bring up the maize from the ground. Yidaini is where he takes a bone from an animal called Yadua, puts it in his mouth, and suddenly the bone starts talking. So this is a good example, because these are covered under the same law. Pasuk said, you shouldn't have amongst you shayl oiv v'yadaini. So it's covered under the same law, but it has a separate reference to Misa for each one. So here you can consider, perhaps, if he does a b'shaygi, both of them, perhaps only one chantas, because of a single lav, or is it double based on the multiple misas? Amrleis Reb Zera says, this is your question. Very simple answer. Plukta, the Rabbi Yechon Reish Lakish can derive the answer based on the discussion. Machlekes between Reish and Reish Lakish, and the bottom line will be that, of course, there's only one chatas for both violations if they're done, under the same hell and the same experience, right? Okay, where do we have a machlekes between Rabbi Yechon and Reish Lakish? The Snan Gabi Hanuskola. We have a Mishnah back in Sanhedrin regarding the Chiv Misa of Skila of stoning. We have Bal Oiv and also V'Yidoni. They're both deserving of Misa. V'Kashlan, the question was posed. Why is it that both are mentioned over there, Bal Oiv and Yidoni, the different forms of worship? Ma'ishna Gabi Skila is Tani Yidoni. Why is it that by the list of Skila, we mentioned the Yidoni as well, but over here, Mesechas KEREISOS, we leave him out. We only mention Bal Oiv. Gabi KEREISOS, Leitani, Yidoni. Here in our Mishnah, look, you only have Bal Oiv, you don't have Yidoni. Why? Amar B'Yechanan, Hoyel U'Shneim Lavechadnem. For this reason, because they're covered under the same law. If a person were to do both of them the same, element of unawareness, the same lapse of unknowing, he would only be chayav one carbon. Hence, it's counted as one, as opposed to the niskalim, where if it's done b'mezid, of course, each one gets its own chayav misa. Fine. V'neimo yid'ayni v'leinemo bal oiv. So he's saying they're both covered under the same b'chatas. Okay, so why are you picking favorites? Why don't you say yid'ayni and leave out the bal oiv? Because Savar figures because he's the first one mentioned in the pasuk before the yid'ayni, so he deserves the honorable mention. I'll tell you why our Mishnah leaves out Yidayni. There is no carbon because there is no Maisa. What's he doing? He just took the bone, put it in his mouth, and suddenly it's starting to talk. So he's merely setting it up, he's causing it. That's not a direct Maisa, it's not a physical Ma'asa transgression, which is a precondition for chiv chatas. It's only by an isra that involves an outright physical expression, physical mice. So we continue. Bottom line regarding our question: how many times chatas for doing baloiv and yidayin in the same sitting? The answer is only one. Whether according to Rabbi Yechim, because it's covered under the same law, according to Rish Lakish, there is no chatas at all for yidayin. Rish Lakish, my time alone with Rabbi Yechim. Now, why didn't Rish Lakish go with Rabbi Yechim's approach? Who cares that there's only one law? The fact is, there's a separate misa liability per, and therefore, on the flip side, there is a chiv chatas, one per. Rabbi Yechim Amar Lach. Rabbi Yechim says no. Chalukah delav have a chalukah. When there's a separate lav, that splits it regarding a separate chatas liability as well. But chalukah the misa they have a chalukah, just because each one has a separate misa mentioning, it does not trigger its own chatas. Interesting machlekes. Rabbi Yechim my time lam Rish Lakish. Now, on the other hand, Rish Lakish was the one who says there's no chatas at all for yidayin. It doesn't involve a misa. Why didn't Rabbi Yechim adopt that approach? Because he holds. In general, you're right. A misa is needed, but here, our Mishnah, Mantana KEREISOS. Who's the author of our Mishnah? Rabbi Akiva. How do I know? Because he applies chatas to Megadef as well. One who curses, right? Shamayim. And that's certainly not an outright mas. It's just a verbalization. So we're going like Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva Damar Lebeinu Ma'isa. We don't need a ma'isa. So carbon is not contingent upon a physical masa. Likewise, there would be a carbon by yidayin, despite its lack of masa. Rish Lakish says no. There are different levels. Neither Akiva lebayi masa rab. Granted, Akiva does not require a grand masa, a serious masa. Even speaking is considered a masa according to Akiva. But masa zutabai, he does need some tangible act, even a minor masa, something to trigger a carbon. And by yidaini, I don't even consider it a ma'isa at all. Even Rabbi Akiva would agree. That's below the threshold of mas. Says the Gemara, okay, but Ba'al you agree, is chayiv a carbon. My masa is bay. Where's the ma'isa there? KosherTube, a masa, clapping his arms. That's enough to be considered a masa. What about Megadef? My masa is bay. Cursing, why is that a masa? Masa, according to Rabbi Akiva, moving around his lips. So according to Rabbanan, that's not sufficient. You need a higher level of masa. According to Rabbi Akiva, that is sufficient masa. But you need at least some degree of masa, some substantial physical expression, speaking, clapping your arms. And only that is according to Rabbi Akiva, not according to Rabbanan. Because now the Gemara understood that perhaps clapping the arms is one notch above speaking. Speaking is only a masa according to Rabbi Akiva, not according to Rabbanan. But HaKosherTube, that the Ba'al does, have a masa of the Rabbanan. That's considered enough of a masa. It's a small masa, but it's enough, even according to Rabbanan, who require a true masa. That's a notch above Megadef, a notch above just speaking. Really? Says the Gemara. The Gemara is going to come out that according to Rish Lakish, it's not so. It's not so. That although the Ba'al Oiv is considered a masa, that's only according to the Rabbanon, according to Rabbi Akiva, not according to Rabbanon. Maybe it comes a kash. The word at this point figured, it does qualify as masa even according to Rabbanon. Meisvei b'veiz kechav me'nei chayiv alal davar sheish b'hem mas. Chiyav carbon b'avei dezar is only if the violation involves a physical expression. Kain shezibach, like a shchita tavei dezar, a kiter. He burns, he offers, haktorah, v'nisach, he pours, v'shtach, he bowed. The question was, I understand shchita, etc. That's a masa, but bowing, just moving one's body, shtachavo, less by masa. Why is that considered a masa? V'amar Rish Lakish, ha'mani Rabbi Akiva. You're right. It's not considered a substantial masa. It's only considered according to Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, the Amar, who told us all along Megadef is enough. Speaking is enough. Bal Oiv is enough. We don't need a mas. So Rish Lakish puts mishtachva on the same level as megadef, as cursing, and only according to Rekiva it's sufficient. Rabbi Yechon disagrees. Rabbi Yechon says, "I feel the Rabbanon. This price can follow even the Rabbanon. Bowing, kfifas kemasay, bowing in a person's height, like that's a true bodily expression. That's really a masa. Kfifas kemasay have a masa. Even according to Rabbanon, it's a true masa. Michlal, the sphere leil Rish Lakish. I'll leave it to Rabbanon. Kfifas kemasay Rabbanon have a masa. So clearly, according to Rish Lakish, bending oneself, bowing, that's not enough of a masa according to Rabbanon. Only according to Rabbi Akiva it is. So, Akashas Roisev have a masa. If bowing is not considered a masa according to Rabbanon, how is clapping the arms? How is Balev considered a masa? You're right, says the Gemara. Rish Lakish never meant to say Balev is a masa according to Rabbanon. According to Rabbi Akiva it is. It's on the same level as bowing, speaking. Velo kika amar Rish Lakish Akashas Roisev have a masa zuta. You're right. When Rish Lakish says clapping his arms, the expression of a Bal Oiv, is considered somewhat of a masa, that's only a liba de Rabbi Akiva. According to Rabbi Akiva, who suffices with a low-level masa. According to Rabbanon, you need a higher level masa. Level masa not considered enough of a masa. Interesting, but according to Rabbi Yochanan, bowing is considered enough of a masa, even according to Rabbanon. Says the Gemara, Yachi, if that's the case, according to this view, the Rabbanon would exempt a balai from a carbon as well, because it's not considered a masa. My Tani Yitzim Megadef Shem Masa. Why is the Mishnah only exempt Megadef from a carbon? According to Rabbanon, because it has no masa. In Nisni Yitzim Megadef Balai, the Mishnah should put together Megadef and balai. If we're putting them on the same level of non-masa. Chadam Tatik Tani, you're right, the Mishnah just cited one out of two. But really, they're both exempt according to Rabbanon. So just to organize things, we have various levels of expression. We have a non-masa, which of course is not a masa. We have Yid Aini, which, he puts his mouth, the thing in the mouth and starts talking. So, according to Rabbi Yochanan, that's sufficient masa according to Rabbi Akiva. Now, Rabbi Akiva certainly has a lower threshold, lower standard of what's considered a masa. So, according to Rabbi Yochanan, Yidayni qualifies. According to Rish Lakish, no, even Rabbi Akiva would not consider Yidayni as a masa, but would consider Megadef, would consider Balaiv and Mishnachva. According to Rabbi Yochanan, Mishnachva and perhaps even Balaiv is considered a masa, even according to Rabbanon. It's enough of a masa to qualify for a chatas. Ask the Gemara, listen to Balaiv, listen to Megadef. Now, according to Rish Lakish, the Chacham would exempt Megadef and Balaiv because it's not sufficient masa. So why didn't the Mishnah, in its exceptions, mention the Balaiv? There's no chatas because there's no masa, and they'll leave out Megadef. Megadef it's strictly. There was a point mentioning Megadef to show that he's exempted from carbon. I would think maybe it's not like the Chamina, maybe we make an exception from Megadef. Hoylux of Kuris Lemokim carbon. Because the Kuris mentioning of Megadef is discussed within the discussion of the carbon of Avodah Zarah, the Chatos there. So perhaps Torah is indicating that you bring a carbon on Megadef despite the lack of masa. Maybe Chamur Git Rav Kiva, in this case, a carbon is brought despite the lack of masa because it's in that discussion of carbon. Kamash Montaloi comes the mission and says no. There's no masa, there's no carbon. Ula Amar Balaiv the Tanim Katal Shade. You had a question why the Mishnah did not exempt Balaiv. So one teretz was it did, it just didn't mention both examples of exemptions. Ula says no. The Balaiv discussed in the Mishnah is Mekatal Shade. That this Balaiv is burning stuff he's offering to the head of the demons. That's a true masa. He's actually doing something, he's burning. So in this variation of Balaiv, even the Chacham would agree there's a carbon. Because it's an Isser with a Masa. Maskala Rava. Ask Rava Mkein Ainu Oividav is Kachavim. It's already covered in the Mishnah. We discussed idol worship. There's just another variation of idol worship. Elam Rava. Mekatal Shidam Nas Lachabroi. He's not offering a hakrava to the shade to worship him. He's just trying to summon him to get him to help him tap into sorcery. So it's not considered a desara. Well, if he's doing it for that purpose, that's a different isser. It's called chayber chaver, discussed in the Torah. It's not. There's no chorus there. Says Rava, this is a different variation of a chayber chaver. He's trying to connect him in this fashion. There's a different type of chayver chaver, connecting to a shade in this way, this skila, and there are the chorus, and likewise a karma chatas. Velo chayver the chaver de belav hadenu. So which chayver chaver doesn't have skila? Which is the other chayver chaver discussed in the Torah? It's only a lav. Amalei, he says kedesanis. We have a brayse. Chayver chaver means he's calling guys, chanting to the animal. It's a different type of system. Whether he's using his chants to summon large animals, small animals. Whether he's chanting to the snakes and scorpions, he's chayiv. So that's a different type of chayiv, which is only a lav without amabai. Therefore, hayman the boiler mitzmat, zibur of akraba. The person trying to put together a zibura, some sort of insect, and a akraba, a scorpion, also you can't do that by way of chanting, even though they're small, insignificant things. It's including the isra of chayver chaver. But if they're chasing him and threatening him, sure, then it's okay. Ask the Gemara. Let's go back to Rabbi Yechon, who had a bit of a lower threshold than Rabbi Rish Lakish regarding what's considered a mas. He said, according to the Chachamim as well, bowing qualifies as a mas, even according to Chacham. So the question is, why is bowing yes, and speaking, cursing not? Akimas Fasav should also be a mas. We turn to Dalar Manov. The Rabban Nami have a mas. Megadev, which is cursing, it's also a mas. There's some movement. Says the Gemara, Megadev, right? Amarav Shani Megadev Hoil Veshna Balev. I'll tell you why Megadev is out. Although there is some, lip movement, some minor physical expression, but it's rooted in the heart. The core, the essence of his transgression is sitting in his heart, in his kavan, in his intent, and where he's directing his words. That's the ikar of the isra, and therefore that's not considered a physical act. His intent, his thoughts, his feelings, which are the essence, are not considered a mas. Aval ba'alma, akimas vasav mas. But you're right. Typically, if it's not rooted in the heart per se, so verbal expression, movement of lips, and likewise bowing, is sufficient to qualify as a masa, even according to Rabbanan to trigger echatas. Masa Rabbi Zera. We have a brayse yotzo edim zaymin, shein ben masa. The false witnesses, right? They get punished, but there's no chatas there because there's no masa. What do? They just testified falsely. There's no physical act. The question is, what do you mean? They spoke. The pasuk says, "Al pishnai made them." It's their word. It's their testimony that triggers the whole experience. The isra is being expressed with words. Amar, but once again, it's true. It's expressed with words, but the essence of the isra is elsewhere. Amar Rav Shani Ibn Zayman is different. Why? Shani Ibn Zayman Hoyel v'yeshna b're'iyah. You see, it's not their words per se that are getting them in trouble. What then? The fact that they're falsifying their status, they're pretend witnesses. Let's go to Rashi. Rashi around 8 lines from the top. Hoyel v'yeshna b're'iyah. Ikar edusam b're'iyah sa'ayin shabid ma'ro. They're falsifying, they're pretending. We were there, we saw that and that, right? So it's not their words per se. If they were saying the truth, it wouldn't be an issue. Nothing wrong with the words that they're saying. the fact that the fact that they're presenting never happened. That's the issue. Interesting. So once again, it's not the words per se that are the essence of the violation. In which case, the element of falsification is not something tangible. And it's not considered a life sheish b'mais, and therefore there's no chatas as well. Okay, so we discussed a case where we have 2 lavin with 1 kares. It came out that there's two chiyuv chatas, 1 per lav, despite the single kares. And we discussed the list in the Mishnah, the numbers, how to substantiate the number 36. Came out that we're talking about the man, and really it's only 33 variations that can happen, the same, person. The other 3 are just to complete the list. We have Chilul Shabbos, and Zara. Why is it only counted as 1? That's several terutzim to explain why you'd only be chayv 1 chatas on account of the many violations. And we had another terrorist that we're discussing just main categories: Shem Shabbos, Shem Avodah Zarah. And we discussed a case where we have 2 isurim, like oiv and idain, each one deserving its own misa, but it's covered under the same lav. It came out that really there was no possibility of getting a double chatas, because idain would be patur from chatas either because it's covered under the same lav or because there's no masa. And when we discussed the masa precondition for chatas, we have shitas chacham that always require a masa, and what qualifies as a masa was discussed as well. We have shitas Rabbi Akiva, who doesn't have the same level of requirement regarding masa. He says even Magadif, Akimas Fasav qualifies as a masa. All the best to you, and Hatzlacha.